Okay, we're here to review step number 44, the 67 steps. Changing this one up, doing this one on a nature hike right now just to try to get some fitness in while I'm doubling down on my brain. This one was called the six-pack of the mind, focusing on first things first. And you know, Ty reminds us that we oftentimes have to analyze what we're prioritizing in life, because by default, according to one of the 25 cognitive biases, number 18, the availability / misweighting bias, you know, we tend to focus on things that don't really matter, and we don't focus on the things that do matter. We tend to focus on things that are very readily available to us, either in our mind, the things we're most often thinking about, or the things that are physically close to us. You know, you'll notice that at the cash register of stores, they'll put the items that are the impulse buys right where you're most impulsive, which is right next to the cash register. And so this is about not doing that, and as Ty says, not being penny wise and dollar foolish. But you know, Ty reminds us that most of the world goes on inside of our head. There are external conditions that affect us, like a hurricane, disease, plane crashes, terrorism, but really how you react to those things determines what happens next. And we're reminded of the story of Louis Zamperini, that was an Olympian that then went into World War II and was shot down and crashed into the Pacific and was on a life raft for 40 or 45 days with his crew. And what made the difference of why he survived and others did not in that same exact circumstances was the power of his mind. He had a six-pack of the mind, probably highly attributable to his Olympic background, but there was another co-worker or crew member that didn't survive with him, that went crazy, ate all the rations, and died. And that's unfortunate. Same circumstances, different reactions. And Ty asks, were your thoughts today focused on that thing that will give you the biggest impact on your life, or were you distracted? I'm reminded of a video that I saw from Sam Ovens, who seems like another kind of fitness guru, or you know, life coach guru, and he explains, you know, a lot of people are distracted, but the opposite of distraction is focus. So if you remove distractions, by default you'll have focus. And this is something I'm kind of challenged with. There's a lot of distractions in the modern world compared to probably how our ancestry was as hunter-gatherers. You really weren't probably thinking too long term when you had to think about today. Surviving today, not being attacked by an animal, not starving, not getting injured. But now that all those things are removed mostly from our life, now there's a lot more things to distract us. And Ty explains how he has a friend of his that's an expert on celebrity gossip, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, and who's in what movie, who's dating who. But then when he suggests that instead of her focusing on that, she should focusing on doubling down on her brain, she pushes back. And you know, Ty says, we all have about 16 hours that we're awake every day. And he asks, how much of that time did you prioritize health, wealth, and love in your life? Did you even spend 10 minutes doing that? And he gives another example of when he was at Barnes & Noble, and he was buying some books with some friends, and he suggested that his friend buy the book Poor Charlie's Almanac by Charlie Munger. It's about $70, and his friend pushed back that that's too much money. But then Ty asked, how much were those shoes that you're wearing? And he said, about $100. So he was being penny wise and dollar foolish. And Ty says to do the opposite of that. Don't worry about the pennies, focus on the dollars. He explained his accountant for one of his businesses was showing with pride how he found a way that him and Ty can cut costs and save an extra $20 annually by switching the type of pens they're buying. And Ty said, that's good, but you're focusing on saving $20 you could have used that same energy to figure out how we can save 50,000. So focus on the dollars, not the pennies, is the takeaway. And you know, Ty gives another example of even smart people doing this. He has his husband and wife friends that are both physicians, so presumably very intelligent. However, the wife was explaining how she impulsively bought a $50,000 pool to install into their house that they never use, and then at the same time she goes and cuts coupons to save a couple bucks. And you know, people do this at a convenience store too. They'll very willingly drive across town to save 10 cents per gallon in gas, but or you know, drive to the next city or next state to save money on tobacco, but won't spend the 70 bucks on the Poor Charlie's Almanac book. So doesn't make sense. Always do what makes the most sense. And you know, Ty says people are routinely worried about the wrong thing. You know, they won't quit their job that they hate. That's driving them crazy because of the job security. But then meanwhile, their whole life sucks. And really, Ty says the number one fear you should have in your life is living a crappy life. Most people aren't even thinking about that. He says, you know, a lot of people will spend a week planning their 4th of July barbecue, but they won't plan their lives. So this is about not being like that. And Ty gives a practical suggestion. He says, in your business and life, spend 15 minutes a day in a quiet room thinking about what's dragging you down and what can you do to take your business to the next level. This is how you create a six-pack of the mind. And his questions at the end of this episode is, what is something you put a lot of time or money into that you now realize wasn't a very good investment? And what's a life area you're going to devote more attention to? Thanks so much for watching these videos. See you on lesson number 45. Take care.